So welcome back to my channel. This is Gamer Dom, and time to continue with our top 5 series. So worked our way through all the various tiers, although as somebody pointed out quite rightly, we haven't done artillery yet, but we'll get round to that in a bit, so don't fear. So we looked at what are the heaviest damage dealing TDs, heavy tanks, medium tanks, and also looking at light tanks. Now for light tanks I tend to look at things, or have been looking at things slightly differently. To see, because they're not really designed to be damage dealers, and to look at them as damage dealers doesn't do them right. But also by some of the early ones I started to look at spotting ability, but some light tanks are actually better at damage dealing, so it's kind of balanced out. So I thought, well, let's do it based on XP earned. So that's what I'm going to do for this video. We're going to look at the top 10 highest XP generating light tanks in the game right now. Now there are only 5 light tanks in the game at tier 10, and they only came in comparatively recently. So you know, we'll just work through so we'll do it in reverse order. We'll look at the third, second and first, have a little bit of gameplay from number 1. I don't think that'll surprise you who's number 1, and then look at the bottom 2 in terms of their stats. Now all the stats I'm going to be quoting at you and showing on the screen have all come from the VB Addicts website. They look at stats of players across all the servers, not just the European or the North American, across all servers, and how they have performed in these particular tanks over a whole load of criteria in the last 30 days. So yeah, it may fluctuate a little bit, but basically looking at a period of 30 days you get a pretty good flavour of how tanks are performing, and that's the whole basis of this. So enough kerfuffle, let's get cracking. So I don't have any tier 10 light tanks right now. The highest I've got are tier 9s. I've got about 3 of those. So eventually I'll get a tier 10. But I'm having to do this through the preview function just so you can see it. So all the stats I'm going to be giving you are based on 100% crew with no equipment across the board. So it gives it a good basic level. So number 3, so the third best experience earning light tank at tier 10 right now in the game, is this Chinese WZ1321. It's a nice looking tank, I have to say. I have a thing for the Chinese light tanks. I think they're really good. You've got these racks you can put all your CDs in, which is kind of useful around the edges. I guess that's some kind of anti-infantry kind of thing to stop any sort of shaped charges hitting the side of the tank, I would guess. But anyway, let's have a look. It comes with a moderately effective gun. This is a 105mm gun, 5.61 rounds per minute, 246 penetration, 280 if you hit the skill button, 390 average damage is quite nice. It gives out a fair bit of punch. 2187 DPM, so damage per minute. 0.42 dispersion. Wargaming in their infinite wisdom nerfed the bejesus out of all the light tanks at tier 10 before they actually brought them into the game. They used to have far better guns than they do now. They still have the same guns, but in terms of their aim time and dispersion was nerfed like crazy. Still not sure I understand the logic of that, particularly since they seem to have nerfed their view range as well. But hey, Wargaming. So 0.42 dispersion is horrible, and aim time of 2 is not particularly spectacular. But this thing is more of the gun platform, light tank if you like. We're getting reload time of 10.26. Turret traverse of 44.85 is very good. Gun depression is not good, -5. Well, it is a Chinese tank, so what do you expect? Survivability, 1500 hit points, basically the same as a tier 8 heavy tank has. Armor, well, it's not really designed to have any armor, but it does have very good turret armor. So the hull is 50-25-20 for the hull, but the turret is 200, 160 and 65. So this thing can actually bounce some things if people hit you in the turret, if they're nice enough to do that for you. But really, you know, it's a light tank. That's not what its role is to fight out, although it does have a pretty good punchy gun. So in terms of mobility, it's a 30-ton vehicle with a 1080 horsepower engine, 36 power ratio is okay. That's pretty good for a light tank. Not one of the best, but it's sort of in the pack for sure. 65 top speed, 52.15 hull traverse is very, very good indeed. Concealment values, because you're going to be hiding in this thing a fair bit, so just shy of 16% concealment rating when stationary. Of course, that's the same when you're moving. Light tanks get the same concealment value as if they were stationary, so 16 for that as well. But obviously when you fire your gun, you're going to lose all of that concealment. So not bad. 15, 16 with a decent crew, camo, maybe even a camo net will get this down to pretty good sneakiness. View range, base view range of 400. So say they were nerfed a fair bit, but that's 400 is pretty good. You won't. You probably will need. Well, it depends what your crew's like. You probably will need coated optics or something on this as well. But yeah, it's not bad. It comes in at number 3. Does only 6,544 games. But averaging 352.20 experience per game. So yeah, pretty good. Right in the middle of the pack, doing a reasonable job. So at number 2 for tier 10 light tanks for the average experience earned in games is the French one, the AMX 13105. Again, one of the new ones. All these tanks were brought into patches about 3 or 4 patches ago. They were brand new to the game. Up till fairly recently you only got tier 8 light tanks, and Wargaming changed the matchmaking and brought in 9s and 10s for most of the lines. Not all of them. British tanks need a light tank, I believe, up to tier 10. Anyway, this thing comes in as number 2. 27,046 games, 382.71 average experience per game, according to VB Addicts across the last 30 days across all servers. It has an autoloader like all these Frenchy tanks. Let me just open that up. Come on. There we go. 105mm. Oh, lost it again. 105mm gun, 3 shell magazine, 2.73 to reload between shots, 27 seconds to reload the whole clip of 3, 234 average penetration, 280 with a skill clip, 390 average damage, 2,163 DPM. Again, pretty horrible dispersion, 0.42, and aim time of 2.3 is even worse than the Chinese thing. Got better gun depression though, -8. Also, the turret traverse is pretty useful, nearly 40, 39.63 is very nice indeed. So yeah, not a bad little gun, and those, if you've worked your way down the French light tank route, you'll be very familiar with this sort of play style. Autoloaders that leap out and just absolutely rinse anything that's on very low health before disappearing back into the distance using their mobility and concealment. Survivability 1400 hit points, so 100 less than the Chinese thing. Hull armor 50 20 15, and turret is even worse, 40 20 20, so you don't really want to get hit with this thing. Mobility though means that you probably won't be. 16 tons only, 600 horsepower engine, 37.5 power ratio, and 68 top speed, 41.72 traverse speed. So pretty good from that point of view. Concealment wise, 18.18 is very good indeed. Of course, with all the kit and caboodle on top, that will get it down to probably around 25% concealment, which is okay. 390 view range is 10 less than the Chinese beastie. So there you go. That's number 2 in terms of average experience earned in tier 10 light tanks. So no surprise here, at least, for in terms of the best for experience, at least, tier 10 light tank in the game right now, according to VB Addicts, and looking at stats, as I say, across the last 30 days across all servers, is the Russian T100 LT. Russian bias, I hear you say. Yeah, probably true. This thing looks like a normal Russian medium tank that someone's just sat on. And it's absolutely squashed flat. Very sneaky, very fast, but the gun's not too bad either. 100mm gun, 7.69 rate of fire, 230 penetration, only 248 with the skill rounds, 300 average damage, but it's got a DPM of 2300 and 0.46 dispersion is horrible, and 2 aim time, so one of the worst dispersions of all the guns at tier 10 for light tanks. And also gun depression only -5, not very good at all. 55.28 turret traverse is okay, pretty good. So your gun's not particularly fantastic. What about armor? Well, a bit like the Chinese thing, got a pretty reasonable turret, 180 millimeters of frontal armor on the turret, 40-40 on the side of it, 90 on the hull is also reasonably good because it's quite well angled. Against lower caliber guns that thing probably will bounce. 40-40 on the side, but you know, it's not about its armor, it's about mobility and concealment, and this thing is like a whippet. 15 tons, 720 horsepower engine, 48 power ratio, wow, 72 top speed and 58.41 traverse speed. This thing gets around and whips around very, very tastily indeed. Concealment values 20.84 base, and of course then you're going to add a whole load of extra kit and caboodle on top, which will get it up well over 25, I would imagine, probably even to 30. Nearly to 30. So this thing is stealthy as hell. It's very, very low silhouette, and therefore partly reason why it's so good at concealment values. 390 view range is fairly standard for a tier 10 light tank. Not as good as the Chinese one, but you know, kind of up there. So in terms of stats, 31,866 games in the last 30 days, 402.85 average experience in those games. Makes it a clear leader. Most of these charts I've looked at, the numbers have been fairly tight, but it's a good 20 difference between 1 and 2 in this, which is quite marked really, considering there aren't that many light tanks in the game. So you know what happens now? We go and see somebody playing this really, really well, and we all drool with envy before we come back to see the bottom 2. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, so here we are with, oh god, DenBob's tanks. I'm going to call him Bob. This is Bob driving the LT 100, or the T100 LT. He's got a really nice matchup on Properovka. Mind you, it's going to be interesting to see. There's a very good AMX player against him, so we'll have to see how the two of them, you know, how they perform basically against each other. He's gone to the obvious spotting location and got spotted immediately and took a hit, but it was absorbed, so he was lucky there. So he's going to have to bail, regroup and try again. Swing back round, see whether he can do anything again. So it's a very obvious spot, that E1 area. In fact, you're probably better off coming to one of these lower bushes and seeing what you can spot, and that's indeed what he's trying to do. And here he goes, he spots that very good AMX driver who was hoping to get away with it. And is he going to escape? No, we take the kill. I think that was a wise decision. Actually didn't, his sixth sense didn't go off. It did, yeah, we go, it was a very late sixth sense go off. Thought for a minute he got away with it. I think that was well worth the risk of the shot there, because that guy, that AMX, well, A, he's our opposite number, a tier 10 light tank, and B, he's an extremely good player. Talked about XVM and how you can look at how people are, how good people are statistically, and target them in one of my earlier videos, and that's a clear example of where, you know, you kind of see that guy's really good and you deal with him. So he's got back in his bush where he started, and he's going to try and do some spotting. And there's a waffle trigger. Look at that. Oh, blimey, that's a weird, that mod worked really weird then, didn't it? And look at that, mod just eaten 1000. Oh, and then there's a Tiger 1 there as well. He's now been eaten too. Even 90 at the back there. He's, I don't think we spotted him. That was one of our suicidal tanks. I don't know what he was thinking. Even 90 is down. He's done 4,000 spotting already. E100 in the back. Tried a shot on him. Did we do some, yeah, we did do some damage. It all happened so quickly. That guy died so quickly. We never had a chance to notice the difference. Now, he's taken the chance here that he's far enough away and his camo is good enough that he's not going to be spotted by firing. And I think it's probably a reasonably wise assumption. But there is an E3 still there, and he's spotted him too. More assistance, 5,000 assistance. I mean, his team are just railroading the enemy team here. But it's thanks to him getting into a good position, him taking down the enemy light tank, and they've taken full advantage of this. There's that E3. There's no artillery, so it's quite tough to pen these things from such a long way, but they're doing a reasonable job. Well, that's a weird that. I've not seen that, the way it sort of zooms in there. God, that's a bit odd. So his team are running really well. 6th place 2. The Martian at the back there. He's going to finish the OI off, is he? No, he's still nervous about firing because that E3 is still there. Although he's still every time he fires he gets spotted and then wrecked. Did he turn side on to us? I think he might have done. Where's he gone? Might be soon time for a bit of a move. Are we going to fire on the Martian? He's thinking about it. He's loaded a premium shell. Realises he can't pen at this sort of distance. The premium shell's got more chance of not losing its penetration values at this range. No, mouse has turned slightly, so you've got very little chance. Oh, he's turned back again. Now we got a chance. Aiming for the back of the... Oh, hang on. Okay. There's a T-44-100, but I think he's down behind the hill. Nice shot again on the Martian. Firing at 500 meters or so. But using a premium round, A, flies faster, and B... Oh dear, that guy got wrecked. Doesn't lose its velocity so much. Martian's down. Right. That E3 is still there. Is he going to try and inch his way forward a bit, see if he can get some spots? We know there's an even 90 up there. We know there's a T-44-100 up there. Both of whom, well, the T-44 probably won't spot him, but the even 90 may well do. So it's going to be a little bit more aggressive. There we go. There's the even 90. Hasn't actually moved pretty much from when he was spotted initially. And we're into the middle area to see what we can do, what kind of mischief we can cause. There goes the even 90. That makes our job a lot better. Oh, there's a Panther there. Nice shot on the move. Blimey. What was it? 0.4 accuracy with this gun. Oh, and there's a Jag Tiger. Oh, there. Well, that Jag Tiger is now being eaten. Look at that. Wow. Up to 9,600 spotting. There's the other boys. Oh, there's a... Bloody hell, there were loads of tanks around there. He's got premium loaded. Doesn't really need it against the Scorpion, but I don't think he knew the Scorpion was there. So it was a bit of a shock to the system when he came around that corner and didn't really have time to reload. Takes him down with a nice drive-by. Now can you get round behind the E3? Doesn't need to, because the E3's down. And that is it. Game over. Well played, Fast and Furious. Well, Fast and Furious indeed. That was an excellent game by our friend Bob. And actually got him the mission 15, light tank mission 15 for the T-55A. So nice job done. It also aced him in the T-100 LT. Got spotter, bruiser, fire for effect, and of course patrol duty. Look at this. All the spotting and assistance he did for the team. Finished up, unsurprisingly, top of his team. 1,500 damage, 2 kills, 1,529 base XP. Fired 7 shots, hit with 6, penned with 6 for that 1,500. He also took 2 hits, one of which bounced miraculously, or probably was eaten by tracks. 11,732 assistance damage. Wowzer. I think he was running some kind of bonds because he made 85.5 plus 42.5. It's 128,000 credits. Did fire a bit of premium, but it wasn't that expensive. So finished with 97,000. So if you take 42 off, you're talking 50, 53, 52, no, 54, anyway, whatever, mid 50s credits, which is pretty good, but it was a monster game, so not surprising. 2,294 XP with a premium account. So there you go, that is Bob showing us how to T100 LT. So, having seen the best, let's see the, well, I can say the rest. None of them are terrible. That's one thing to say. They're all pretty much of a muchness, if I'm honest. But at number 4 is the Sheridan, the Tier 10 American light tank. Who said there's a bias against American tanks in this game? It isn't bottom. God. So this thing is the Dirt Wagon. This thing has... well, there's two options of guns. You can either play the 105mm AP gun, or you use the DERP cannon, the 152mm rocket launcher that you'll be familiar with on the T49. Let's have a look at that one's stats first of all. So 3 rounds per minute, 76 penetration with AP, but you're probably not going to be firing that. 152 with premium round, which will be heat, and 85 with HE. 910 average damage with the HE and the AP. 700 with the heat, so you get less damage with the heat shell. 2,700 DPM. I'm presuming that is based on the AP round, not the heat round, because that would be somewhat less. Dispersion is god awful. You need to be up close to use this gun. 0.53 dispersion and aim time of 3.3. The other option, as I said, is the... Oops, let's get him up. No, wrong one. There we go. Come on. Come to Papa. There we go. Right. This is the 105mm lightweight gun. They're calling it 6.52 rounds per minute, 236 penetration with a standard round, 280 with heat, and 53 with HE, 390 average damage. But I mean, why would you use this thing when you got a derp? 0.4 dispersion and 1.7 aim time. Aim time's excellent, so maybe that's why you might go with it. But yeah, most people are going to use this 152, I would guess. Because it's just fun that way. Your turret traverse is 44.85, which is okay. Gun depression is excellent, -10. Best gun depression of the tanks so far we've looked at. And I'm getting 2,800 DPM with the derp cannon. Survivability, well, it's got the most hit points, 1,600 hit points, but the hull armor is 14, 31, and 12. Turret armor 38, 15, 15. You cannot take any kind of hit in this thing. In fact, most things will auto pen, and HE will wreck your day. Mobility wise, well, it's very quick. 15 ton vehicle, 650 horsepower engine, 43 power ratio is very good indeed. 65 top speed is okay. 57.37 hull traverse is also very good. So nimble and very, very good at just derping people in the face. Concealment values are not fantastic, but they're not terrible either. 14.48. Of course, when you fire, it drops through the floor, because part of the mechanics on being spotted is the caliber of the gun, and this thing's got a big caliber gun. So once you're fired, you light everything up. But the view range, 420 is the highest we have seen at tier 10. Very, very good indeed. So 16, yeah, just shy of 17,000 games, 344.71 average experience earned in all those games, and that's the Sheridan. So bottom of the pile for the 5 tier 10 light tanks in the game right now, according to experience earned, average experience earned according to VB Addicts in the last 30 days, comes the German Rheinmetall Panzerwagen. Only 9,325 games, 339.66 average experience earned. So a good value below, what's that, about, my maths, 60, about 60 odd below the top earner. So quite considerable really. This thing is, wow, what to say about it? It's got a very fast light tank is the main thing to say about this. 105mm gun, 6.67 rate of fire, 242 penetration with standard rounds, 280 if you hit the skill button, 320 average damage, 2133 damage per minute, 0.36 dispersion is actually pretty good. That's about the best of the light tanks. 1.6 aim time is certainly the best of all the light tanks in this tier. So the firepower on it's pretty reasonable, really, and it's surprising it does so poorly. DPM of 2179. Gun depression is excellent, -10. So it's a pretty good gun. I mean, you know, it's all relative. Light tanks do not have the best guns in the world. 1600 hit points, 30, 30 and 8 on the hull armor, 20, 20, 20 on the turret, so you will get owned by pretty much everything you're firing at, but you keep out of trouble with this mobility. This thing is a whippet. 25 tons, 1100 horsepower engine, 44 power ratio and 75 top speed, 56.32 hull traverse, so it gets around like a rocket. This thing, wow, it's quick. 75 top speed is outstanding. 15.73 concealment values, which is a little bit on the low side actually. I would have thought, being so small, and it is quite a small tank, it's quite a low silhouette. Well, I don't know, maybe it's not as low silhouette as I was giving it, but 15.7 seems a little bit low for concealment values. 420 view range is very effective. So this thing, I'm surprised it comes as low down as it does, but also I guess given the other tanks it's up against, you can sort of see why that is. But there you go, that is your number 5 in the chart. So there you go. I hope you found that useful and interesting. That is the 5 tier 10 light tanks currently in the game right now, and how they perform according to VB Addict's website. I wasn't surprised to see the Russian top. I wasn't surprised to see the German bottom, and I think you could have swung out pretty much all the others in, pretty much in the order they were. So not terribly surprising in terms of performance, but there you go. If you're looking to grind down the light tank line and you want to know what's going to be the most effective, certainly statistically, that's how it works, and the full list is in the description down below underneath the video. In the meantime, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, and I will see you again soon. This is GamerDom signing out.